I'm Mark Johnson. I'm one of the executive producers of the AMC show Halt and Catch Fire.
I'm Kerry Bishe. I play Donna Clark.
This entire industry is built on people ripping each other off. SEP rips off CPM, Microsoft rips off SCP.
These companies won. Why shouldn't they be rewarded?
Computers could be more. They should be more. It's too important to get wrong.
I'd like to think it starts with me, but it doesn't really. It was created by two young screenwriters, Chris Rogers and Chris Cantwell. One of them was 29, the other was 31 when they wrote this. And they sold the script to AMC, this pilot script. And it was pretty raw. And we, when I say we, Melissa Bernstein and I, and we worked together as executive producers of the show, we had read the script and said, this is a great arena, and this is a really wonderful script. We can help make it a lot better. And I don't want to take too much credit, because it really was Chris and Chris who got it to where it became the pilot. But we worked with them for several months, and then brought in the director, Juan Jose Campanella, who I had known for years but never had worked with, but wanted to. And that's when we went out and made the pilot and got to meet Kerry, among others.
Let me guess. Sales engineer, making cold calls.
I'm not in the mood.
Pitching from a brochure.
Why don't you go blow dry your hair some more?
Reverse engineer an IBM PC with me.
I think it's one of the best pilot scripts I've ever read. I was astounded that it was their first project. I think it's fascinating, it's intelligent, the scenes are long and you sit with these people, and it's things I hadn't seen before, characters I hadn't really been familiar with in the zeitgeist, and I think Donna in particular is really appealing to me because she isn't what she seems at first glance.
Don't you realize what you're risking?
This is what I want to do with my life!
Yes, but don't you realize what you have now?
Well, it's not enough.
As Kerry said, at first glance, she appears to be one thing, and there's a hint in the pilot, certainly, that she wants to be more, and she comes from more. And in the course of this first season, she clearly, all of that takes a hold of her life.
I want to build a computer that nobody else has the balls to build.
Are you out of your mind? Calm down. Apple, IBM, they have the market sewn up.
There's a project I want to discuss with you.
I don't think I'm ready for the IBM dress code.
I don't work for IBM.
Worst case scenario, IBM sues us into the ground.
Please tell me that you didn't buy all this?
It's one of those great pilots that works so well in and of itself that it begs the question, what is the show? Which I think is what will bring people to the second and third and hopefully all 10 episodes. But at first, at the end of it, say, that was really satisfying. Now what happens? How can this resolve itself? And it is, yes, it is about these characters and the creation of a computer, but it's not about the computer, it's not about the creation of the computer, it's about these four characters and how they have to work together and don't particularly want to, and how not a single one of them could come close to accomplishing what their goal is in the course of this first season, but they have to do it together. And as much as they dislike it, so it's very much about I think the battles they have within themselves and the battles they have with the other three partners.
The title of the show, I think, is really significant in sort of understanding what the big idea is here. So Halt and Catch Fire was a computer command in old computers that would essentially cause all of the instructions to happen simultaneously, and so each one would vie for supremacy, which caused the computer to self-destruct. And literally sometimes the wires would catch on fire. And so if you think about that in terms of these characters and these people, it's everyone vying for supremacy. Everyone, I love how you say that they wouldn't be able to do any of this on their own with their individual talents, but all together there's this dialectic happening. And through that struggle, they create a thing, and in the process maybe even self-destruct.
Right.
If it goes wrong, I'm a college dropout repairing VCRs for $3.25 an hour.
IBM is going to liquidate this company because two idiots decided to rip off their flagship product.
Listen to me, boy! Don't screw this up, because ain't nobody gonna be able to find where you're buried.
I really love this show for how they really let you get into the complex motives of these characters, the moral ambiguity of the struggles that they come up against is, I find, really compelling, and you don't get such complex treatment in very often in entertainment. For me in particular, women, I don't think, are allowed to be complete, whole, fallible, struggling, ambitious people struggling with their identity, and I get to do all of that in this season. I get to play a really whole, complex character, and I think it's important for that to be out in the world, and it's really just a joy to get to go do that kind of acting challenge every day.
I was brought up to believe that the things we built were the singular contributions to computers that history would remember. For a long time, it was true.
I think the broadcast, the networks right now, which you know, traditionally have offered a version of the same plot every episode. And it's something that makes the audience comfortable. So you come home from a hard day at work and you watch your favorite show and a murder's committed and your favorite detective gets to solve it, and by the end of that episode the murder's solved and life is the way you want it to be. Everything's exactly sort of pre-programmed. Whereas cable is full of surprises. It's ongoing stories. So sometimes they'll leave you in the middle, the end of an episode, in the middle of a dilemma, and you'll say, whoa, 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 wait, you can't end here. But that's the appeal of it. I think the networks are catching on. By the way, you know, it's cable shows have these surprises where all of a sudden they're killing off major characters in the middle of a season with no sense of it's coming or whatever. And if you've seen it recently, it happened in a network show. I think they're scrambling to compete because for a while there, all the sort of the cachet shows were on cable, but right now cable is also starting to pull network kind of numbers.
I think it's a really exciting time in television. I don't think anybody should be bemoaning the death of this form. We were just at the Digital Emmy Awards last night. There is so much content happening. The methods of production have become so egalitarian. Anybody can make a show. And what I love about that is that means quality will out wherever it's coming from, whether you're qualified, whether you're at a studio, whether you're at a network, whether you're on cable. There's so much happening. I think there's real competition, and I think that's a great thing for products, for art, to have good competition.
And you don't need to draw huge numbers. You know, so if you can keep your budgets within reason, if you pull a couple million viewers, you can stay on the air. And, you know, like anything else doesn't mean that every show's good, but at least there's sort of room for just about everything now.
The reason we're here in the first place. But now, it's our turn.
One of the things that allows cable to continue turning out really good quality material is that it's compact, it's limited, it is powerful. You don't, there's an economy of storytelling that you need to have in 10 episodes, and you don't give anybody else time to get bored, and you still have some energy to get through it.
It's interesting because having done several cable shows right now, the showrunners of those shows don't know, they don't physically think they could do a full network 20-some-odd shows. It would kill them. And if you look at the great shows from Sopranos, The Wire, Mad Men, Breaking Bad, all of those shows, they couldn't sustain 20-some-odd episodes a year. Something would have to give, and I'm afraid it would be either the lives of the showrunners or the quality of the show.
Stay out of my territory.
I'm sort of a Luddite. I have my typewriters at home. I also have a laptop, but I listen to the record player, and I actually think sort of culturally, there's a bifurcation that happens, and as TV went into really scary reality territory, that was also when the rise of really good quality, challenging cable shows happened. So I think on a content level, it sort of splits, and if you get really trashy TV, it requires an equal and opposite reaction towards really good quality TV. I think also sort of culturally, as we get more devices in more places, I think there is a real equal urge to go back to more traditional, handmade, personal, experiential kinds of things. There's a sort of folk arts resurgence in the States right now. People are hand pickling vegetables, and there's a real emphasis on doing things yourself and the satisfaction that comes from that. And so I'm glad that people are watching television on their phones and in the plane and in a million different ways so that I can keep making it. But I'm also glad that I can go build a boat next week and have that be my entertainment for myself.